No, I'm saying the fact that, you know, people of a little older generation, such as Faye Ellington, are speaking out against the lewd lyrics being sung over rhythm such as Hill Gully is, I think it's an opportunity to have a conversation about where the culture is going. And there is somewhat of a disconnect between generations. And I think the younger generation has no understanding and have not really been taught the history of the folk songs and where they're coming from. I don't think anybody is arguing the fact that, of course, there's a lot of sexually explicit music in the culture. I think what some of the older Jamaican citizens have a problem with is that something that is such a grounded, rooted Jamaican traditional folk song, and then you're taking that music and flipping it completely in a different direction and turning it into some, really sexually explicit type songs on that rhythm. They have a problem with it. And I would have to tend to agree that, yeah, it is going too far, but the argument is not about whether Stephen the Genius should have, updated the rhythm and brought it into now. I don't think anybody has a problem with that. I think the bigger issue is the songs and the sexually explicit lyrics that they choose to sing over a rhythm that is so rooted in Jamaican, folk vibes and folk energy. It is a problem. So I think at the very least, it's something that we need to talk about. So it has opened up a new conversation.
Yes. So the question for you as a DJ, do you play any of the songs on any of your programs, or would you play it?
Yeah, a few of them. I mean, there are some of them that are really, hardcore and highly explicit, and no, I'm not gonna play those. But again, different people have different tolerance levels. So, some people have tolerance for slip and slide, but then they don't have tolerance for some of the more explicit ones. So I mean, if it's suggestive, you can give and take a little bit, in my opinion. But there's a difference between it being suggestive and the songs being just overtly slap you in your face, just hardcore, just very, very, in a lot of cases, it's just too explicit, So
what you would say about those who argue, especially the younger folks who argue that Hill Gully, when you listen to the lyrics, and it was sexual, it was not probably as overtly sexual, but it had sexual connotation.
Yeah, well, that's why, at least opening the conversation, which it now has obviously opened a conversation. I mean, it's necessary to have that conversation with young people. I don't think it should be something that we argue about so much, but it should be taken as an opportunity.
A teaching moment.
Yes, an opportunity to talk about what it should and really and truly should not be. Because every generation has their own language and their own way of expressing themselves. And I think the conversation is a good conversation to have. But it also is a moment where, you know, the elders also have to look at the fact that, you know, there's probably something that is not happening within the culture and the structure of the culture that is not being taught to the younger generations.
But
I mean, one of the examples that I've drawn in this conversation, believe it or not, I've seen in recent years where on a program such as Schools Challenge Quiz, for example, Anthony, a picture has been put up of some of our should be very popular Jamaicans, such as a Bob Marley, and school-age children have a problem recognizing Bob Marley.
Wow.
I've seen that. And I've been shocked and appalled. I'm like, how can a child growing up in Jamaica not be familiar with the visual image of a Bob Marley?
Yeah.
So we're losing touch somewhere along the line, and that would obviously point at the curriculums that are being taught in school. You know, and how our up and coming generations are being educated. So it's something that we need to truly look at, and I don't think it's so much. It should be an argument where we argue about it, and you know, young people going to argue and cuss the older folks, and the older folks going to cuss the young people. I don't think it should be an argument. It should be a teachable moment where we need to open up the conversation and have a productive conversation about it.
And last thing, Donna Hope, of course, educated at University of the West Indies, pointed to say we can't have amnesia because from way back in the 60s, even if you go back to Mental and some of those music, they had some explicit lyrics. So how you juxtapose that against Fairlington?
Yeah, well, here's the reality. The reality is, again, everybody's expression is different. Everybody's tolerance is different. So when you get to the point now, you're push it to the limit where you're so hardcore and so explicit. Songs being suggestive have always been a part of our culture. Yes, but being suggestive is one thing, and being overt and explicit is another thing. So like I said, you got to have the conversation now. Now is the time to have the conversation. What is going too far? You know what I mean? So suggestive lyrics, and I don't think what Faye Ellington was saying, or anybody else who has, you know, spoken up about it, I don't think anybody's saying there is no place for sexually explicit songs. They're there, and they will always be there. I think the connection now to a folk song, such as, you know, Emmanuel Road or Hill Gully Ride, I think when it goes past a certain point, I can see where it can be offensive to people who understand the tradition of, you know, Jamaican folk music. So, you know, it's a conversation that we need to have, and I've heard people, you know, calling out to the minister, for example, Babsy Grange, to address it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it needs to actually be a conversation that we have as Jamaicans, and just talk about what is expected, how we expect to move forward in our culture. You know what I mean? That's all. Young people say things and times change, and that's how we express ourselves. Yeah, but you know what? If it's offensive when you take, all right, for example, one man mentioned is like you take the national anthem of Jamaica, that instrumental, and you turn it into singing explicit, sexually explicit.
Yes, something have to be off lyric, something have to be off limits. It can't be just
exactly.
Yeah, so something.
Exactly. So that's what we're saying. Young people, no disrespect, do your thing or whatever, but some things are too far, and some things it should not be defiled in such a way. And don't think it doesn't happen in other cultures. It happens in other cultures, but most other cultures, because they teach the history, so it doesn't usually happen in other cultures.
All right.
So we need to take a look at that and have the conversation.